Einen schönen guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. Ich hoffe, es geht euch allen gut. Ich hoffe, ihr habt alle einen guten, schönen Wochenende gehabt. Und ich hoffe, ihr startet gut in die neue Woche. Mir geht es sehr gut. Vielen Dank der Nachfrage. And hello to everybody else as well. I thought I would just say a couple of words of greeting to my German friends and also my daughter. I know she watches my content, which is why I often explain things in the way I do, not just for her purposes, by the way. It's something I wanted to clarify last time because I've been accused of sort of not going into deep enough detail, whereas I always thought that research is upon the researcher, unless the modern day way is to allow someone else to do the research and then hand me all the answers or hand one all the answers on a nice silver platter. No. So, yeah, I thought I'd say a quick hello in German. Like I say, my daughter does watch some of my stuff. And, you know, at the end of the day, I don't know who else watches my stuff. I have German relatives who do keep an eye on some of the things I do because they relate some of that stuff with what they see and experience in Germany, especially over the last 2 or 3 years when one or two very unsavory things were going down. It was handy to have another opinion from people situated in different countries that weren't attached to mainstream media, thus didn't have any interests or agendas to be propagating. And not just that, by the way, I very rarely use German. I mean, I lived in Germany for basically half of my life, and I used to use the German language every single day. And since I've been back to England, just on 10 years now, nearly 10 years altogether, the only time I ever use the German language is if I start talking to Germans who are hanging around here, because we've got international students here in Bournemouth. So if I hear them on the corner talking to each other, I'll walk past and I'll make a comment in German, which kind of freaks them out. Or talking to my daughter, of course, because we both speak German to each other on video call. So it's that old thing about practice makes perfect. You know, if you take your foot off the gas and you stop doing something regularly, then you start losing touch. And to be honest with you, my German skills have deteriorated immensely because I'm just not using it anymore, unfortunately. But hey ho, that said, the same issues apply to those living in Germany and residing in that piece of the world that they call Germany as affects us here in the UK or in the States or everywhere else that I know. And I'm in touch with people and where they live. So it matters not. It's only the language that's different. People are the same wherever you go, as McCartney and Stevie Wonder once sang. Or was it McCartney? Anyway, I hope, like I said, you're all doing well. I wanted to bring you just a quick video just to talk about a couple of things, including an announcement or two as well. So I may as well just get cracking straight away. I have written a couple of notes just to jog my memory more than anything else. By the way, if I keep looking all the time, it's because I'm keeping my eye on the clock. But I'll be all right for time, and I'm going to make sure this video isn't too long, he says. Okay, so I'll just start off by just recapping quickly on our lovely Flat Earth meetup that we had on Tuesday. You may or may not know, but we had Alex Michael, conspiracy music guru, connected up with us. He was in Spain in his house, and we were in the Pavilion Arms in Bournemouth, as we are every last Tuesday of every month at 1900 hours. And on this particular evening, Alex was our guest, and we had a nice question and answers session where all sorts of questions were asked, and Alex, to the best of his ability in that moment, responded to them. He doesn't have the luxury of all the clowns you see on TV who have pre-written answers to pre-written questions. You know, at least there we're authentic. Do you know what I mean? I know they do that, by the way. I've been down to Westminster. They get told what colour tie to wear, never mind what to read and say. But anyway, yeah, so that was great, and I'd like to just thank Alex again for his time that he took, because we also experienced some technical difficulties, unfortunately, along the way as well. So that must have been a little bit frustrating for all actually partaking directly. But we got it done in the end, and it was good, and I'm glad we did do it. And I'm sure everybody who was there, hopefully including Alex too, were also glad that they participated in that. So again, thank you very much, Alex, for partaking in that. Much appreciated. I know you got a lot going on and stuff, and you know, So nice one, my mate. And, you know, I will get back to you on your offer, by the way. I'm going to check out travel options and stuff. And yeah, I'll get back to you on what we discussed. There will be, of course, a next Flat Earth meetup. Social, not meetup. I need to drop the name meetup. It's a social. And I think that works well, as does a good friend of mine who she also says to me, yeah, the social works very, very well. And I think it does in that title. So the next Flat Earth social will be the last Tuesday of this month. In fact, I'm not even too sure what date it is. I'd have to check. But I do believe that this time round, bear with me, this time round, it could be that Ian Leahy might be doing a presentation himself on Flat Earth, which I would welcome personally. Why not? I think it's awesome. I think we have plenty of people in our group who have the knowledge required to build on, to then brainstorm with others and discuss things and you know, and talk about points that we maybe didn't think about originally, you know. But I do believe that this time round, I'm just checking on my calendar, which is why I'm looking down to my left, is Tuesday the 31st of October. There you have it. So that would be Halloween, I do believe. So do I get dressed as a pumpkin? Because I'll be home before midnight. Does that even have anything to do with Halloween pumpkin? Well, yeah, of course it does. But does it have anything to do with turning into... I can't remember. Do you know, it's so long ago that I paid attention to any of those stories. I have no idea what happens, when it's supposed to happen. All I know is it's Halloween. But that will be the 31st of October, obviously, Tuesday, 1900 hours at the Pavilion Arms here in Bournemouth. I think that would be a different kind of vibe in terms of, how can I say it? It always is if you're going to have someone, you know, there in situ talking through their stuff, especially presentations or something like that. I personally don't have a presentation, for example, but, you know, I know a few people who do. And I welcome Ian to put his out there and talk. And also later on, I have people then add their questions and thoughts and all the rest of it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. So that will be on the 31st of October, 1900 hours, Pavilion Arms in Bournemouth. Be there or be as spherical as a pumpkin. Yes, so that was the Flat Earth Social wrapped up for the moment in terms of mentioning that. So thank you, of course, to Ian for doing what he does there. You know, I'll assist wherever I can, gladly, of course, because I'm very passionate about this topic. I still, right now, even when I think about it, I get very frustrated at the fact that I could talk about this all day. Not literally talk like, in other words, get nagging at people, but what I mean is it's a topic of conversation that I could have comfortably all day, because there are so many layers and, dare I say, levels to it, right? So when we're talking about the shape of the earth, there is much more to that topic than just the shape of the earth, right? If you want to talk about it geometrically, you know, that's not really necessarily what we mean, because when people say flat earth, you don't even really know whether the earth is flat. Water rests at level, sea level, hence the name level. It's not curved, doesn't curve, right? But the land, of course, is up and down. You have valleys, you have mountains, ridges, all that sort of stuff. You know, the earth isn't flat like a mirror. You know, just like like a piece of wood. If you sawed a piece of wood, a plank of wood, run over it with your finger, it would feel quite smooth. But I'm sure if you zoomed in on a microscope, you'd see a lot of unevenness on the surface. Well, that's roughly how I would imagine Earth's surface to look like. From a distance, you wouldn't really see the mountains and the bits sticking up and the bits going down, would you? So the aspect of Earth is level, because that's what the water levels on Earth show us. They tell us that, right? So once you understand that and it goes click, and I think the click bit is not understanding that water doesn't bend and it's not gravity that pulls anything to a molten iron core, because we haven't even prove that we live on a ball in the first place. And not just that, the radius of this Earth was debunked in 2020 when, in 2020 it was the so-called black swan, which was something that was discussed and then labeled as such by people in the flat Earth community, who basically debunked the geometrical leading edge of Earth. And what debunked it mainly was a photograph of oil rigs, and the furthest oil rig was many, many miles away, and you could see the horizon line beyond that oil rig, the furthest oil rig, thus absolutely debunking the officialdom, which is that from a 1 foot observer height, you should be able to see no further than 1.22 miles, which is nonsense. And if you've ever done the observations yourself, you'll know that's nonsense. But that is official. I've done an observation where I've seen big chunks of the Isle of Wight from 27 miles, for example, from 1 foot observer height. 1 foot. With a normal basic phone with a camera. All you have to do is take 3-4 photos, screenshot a couple of things from Google, which gives you the distance that you are from the target that you're looking at, right? And then screenshot the answers that the Earth curve calculator throws at you when you give in those details into the official Earth curvature calculator that you can find online. Can't have it both ways. Either you can see the Earth curving or you can't. It can't be flat but it curves somewhere. That doesn't work like that. And I understand the problem that people have in terms of reconciling that, balancing that out between, well, I can see that builders always build using a spirit level, and if you built one house next to another, next to another, next to another, and you did 10,000 houses next to another, they would all show level, no curvature. After 10,000 houses, you definitely notice a curvature, right? Yet people presuppose we're on a ball, and so they'll always say to me, yeah, but we're on a globe, so maybe you're not, we're not expected to see curvature. The globe is so big. Well, then again, why are people saying they can see curvature from the window of an airplane? Which, by the way, you can't. Unless, of course, maybe the portholes, the windows are convex, then perhaps. But other than that, the horizon, that's why it's got its name, horizon. Look it up, the definition, is perfectly flat and level. And aligns just below the tips of the wings, normally, when you're looking out the window. Both sides, by the way. So you're not looking out one window and you're seeing the horizon there near your wing, and then looking out the left window and you're seeing no horizon, because of course the ball drops away from you, and then the higher you go, the less you'd see out your window, because it'd be curving and dropping away from you. Wouldn't it? I'm not going to go on about the fact that the pilot would have to adjust his flying angle and pitch down to account for the curvature of the Earth and all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to even go on about the fact that all his instrumentation is based on flat surfaces and level planes. I'm not going to go on about the fact that things like radar and the technology they use to not crash into each other can only work on a flat surface because it's line of sight technology. I'm not going to go on about the fact that they use a gyroscope, which only works on flat plane surfaces. In fact, all the documentation you see from buffoon organizations like NASA and all these sort of clowns, even they ask you to treat the Earth like it's stationary and flat, or flat and stationary, in all their training manuals. Now, why would you do that if you're on a globe? Why would all your elevation angle measurements need angles, right? Which are two straight lines meeting at a vertex. You can't have a curved surface. You can't have a curved line on an angle. Why is that all carried out for flat? And then transformed to make sense for a globe? Why would you do that? If you're living on a globe, you would use what's required to work things out for a globe. You wouldn't measure everything flat, because that's not your reality. You're measuring, you're navigating to mirror your reality. For example, plot your position in a large ocean to save your life by way of using a sextant, which would never, ever, ever work on a curved surface, because it could be thousands of miles ahead of you of ocean or whatever that you're trying to locate yourself on, right? I mean, I know I've gone off a little bit on a tangent, excuse the pun, but it's still the refusal to take a closer look based on the fact that the authorities say otherwise, is for me still very, very, very mind-boggling, considering that I hear so many people who tell me they know the government are up to no good, they know the world is this, the world is that, and yet everybody goes off and gets jabbed, everybody goes off and wears a face mask, everybody goes off and votes like it matters, everybody posts headlines from frigging newspapers on all their group chats thinking they're oh so rebellious and oh so whatever, blimey, I mean, it's like, it's just Groundhog Day, because I've seen it all before. And it's bordering on the pathetic, I have to say, which is why I take a very low profile now when it comes to groups and hanging out with people and stuff like that. I pick and choose my people who I spend time with very, very carefully. Because 95% of people out there who claim full of hot air and ego, no use at all. Some of you might even know that it's you who I mean. Who knows? Depends where you've got that feel about yourself or not. But anyway, on to something more positive. I really did veer off there. I did get given a piece of paper from a couple of friends who I met in Spain on the Euro Tour 4 years ago now. And it's an organisation group of people called Truth Juice. I'm going to leave their details in the description below, but they have regular meetups in Birmingham. So anybody who's around the Birmingham area and it coincides with some of their times that they meet up, do go along and pop in and say hi to them. It's not a flat earth meetup. It's not a specific meetup. They're called Truth Juice, which means they are open-minded. You can talk about anything, just like the Flat Earth Social. Yes, it got Flat Earth in the title, which is off-putting for a lot of people because people are so scared what other people might think. It's the world we live in, unfortunately. Everybody says, I don't care what others think. Yeah, you do. 95% of you do care what others think. That's why we're in this pickle. Anyway, Truth Juice, worth checking out. I'm going to leave their details below the video. And then you can maybe, if you're near the Birmingham area, for example, Birmingham, Alabama, it is not. It is Birmingham in the Midlands here in the United of Kingdoms. So that, I met a few of them. I remember going with Jason Disbury while we were on the Euro Tour. We had a bit of a break and we popped up there in a car to visit Charlotte and a few others in Hales Owen when they used to have the Flat Earth meetup there. John Thor was there and many others. But then, unfortunately, they don't have that meetup anymore in Birmingham, which leads me nicely to a topic that I really want to, not even tentatively, talk about, which is we need more of these initiatives and events going on. There's hardly anything going on. I've really put the feelers out in terms of meetups and stuff like that. Or let's put it another way, in terms of environments created where one feels safe to talk about whatever topic they want to. Doesn't matter what title you give the meetup. Although it is nice to do a nice title, but there aren't many. There really is not much going on. And I heard about why the Hales Owen one closed or whatever. I mean, I don't know all the details, but it's a shame that it's either because you can't find a location or because there aren't enough people to do it, or people haven't got the money perhaps to go to a pub where it might be held. I mean, I pay £3.70 for a bloody orange juice. Me? Complain? No. But I don't mind. But I'm just saying, not everyone can afford to go to a pub. So I'm up for ideas, but I'm up for upping the frequency when it comes to meeting up with like-minded people, whether it's a Flat Earth Social, which we have now established, or whether it's a subsidiary of that, if you like, or whether it's a different initiative altogether, where it's more workshop oriented or more educational in terms of brainstorming, educational oriented, or maybe even field trip type thing where we could carry out an observation together and all that sort of thing. There's lots of things that one can do. And I'm all up for trying to generate a bit more movement within our movement, because there doesn't seem to be much. There doesn't seem to be much. And, every time I leave the Flat Earth Social, I'm kind of thinking, God, I wish I don't have to wait another 4 weeks for another one. Now, I speak to people who are saying they've been looking forward to it for weeks. So it's like, and I'm already getting quite, excited talking about it, because I'm so chuffed that there are many, many other people out there who are on the same track, and who are willing to give their time to something that they feel really strongly, passionately, but for all the good reasons, about. So, I'll also leave my contact details in the description below. And I'm sure there will be more and more things going on, because there has to be. There's a demand for it. It's all right, people waking up or becoming more aware of stuff, but they've got nowhere to share that awareness experience with and their progress with. I was fortunate. I ended up in a sort of a community that coincided with, let's call it for argument's sake, a bit of an awakening sort of process, if you like. But what about all those people who don't have that and have to go home to their husbands who think we're living on a spinning water ball in space, or their wives or whatever, or live alone and have nobody to talk with about this, So I'm all up for doing that. I think we should get more and more initiatives going, whether it's under the umbrella of Flat Earth Social or not. It's a totally different story, because the Flat Earth Social works great. That's definitely out there. It's established, and long may that continue. But we definitely need more. We definitely need more. And, I welcome people who are willing to join me on driving for more. Not by knocking on someone's door and asking for permission. No. Initiatives, getting things done. That's how we should be doing it. There'll be no appealing to authority here. So anyway, I want to just put that out there, because that was on my mind and in my heart now for a few days, and I've talked to loads of people about this. I've double checked, treble checked. Is it me? Is it my ego? Is it, am I doing this for all the right reasons? Yeah, I am, is the answer. And all those who I've talked to would also be doing it for the right reasons. They are genuinely, authentically interested. I can tell who's genuine about it, because they're the ones who get in touch with me. So those who haven't, tut. Right. So anyway, just before I round off, because I just realised I've broken into the over 20-minute mark, and that was not my plan. I was going to keep this under 10 minutes, but hey ho. Just another one before I finish. I don't even know if I've mentioned this from the outset, but I did put a couple of videos out recently. And a lot of it was talking about the deception that surrounds us, especially when you're talking about the stuff they're spraying in the skies, which they have been doing now for decades, and which they don't even lie about anymore. They tell you straight off the bat, it's geoengineering. You can look it up. They just give you different excuses as to why they do it. So it's no big discovery that anybody's spraying stuff in the sky. They admit it, right? But the old world stuff is quite interesting, because that is now starting to agitate one or two people, which is where these divisions happen within so-called truth-seeking communities, right? And I think it's very interesting. It's very interesting. The thing with the old world stuff is it's led me to come to certain conclusions that I've never dreamt I'd come to even 2 years ago. So I'll give you an example. When I read a headline like this from The Light, as you can see, it's backwards, but it says Age of Tyranny. I think it's backwards. It certainly reflects backwards on my screen. Probably flips it back normal in a minute. Age of Tyranny. Now, I don't mind the light paper. I've always supported it. I've distributed it. I still do. But I'm afraid I'm going to have to refute that headline based on my research. And I wish others would come forward and do the same, because it's the wrong headline. Age of Tyranny. We don't live in an age of anything. It was like this right from the start. It hasn't turned into something tyrannous. Humans haven't gone bad. Systems haven't been allowed to take over things. It's been like this from the offset. And it's only been 200 or so years. There are many, many, many things that kind of lead to that being unequivocally the case. Right? But again, you have to drop all the noise, the other stuff. Religions, for example, and such like, which is the difficult one to crack. But we don't live in an age of tyranny. We were born into a tyrannous life right from the get-go. But then again, what do I know? So there are headlines that I don't agree with. And that is definitely one of them. Like I said, the human race hasn't turned into bad people. We haven't let things slip, and wars have come and gone, and nasty dictators and all the rest of it, and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, we're sending things out to Mars and everything else. It's all huge pack of lies. The whole lot of it is. So much so that even 2/3 of our truth community, so-called, fall for bits of it. Right? And that's a great example. Some of the stuff that's in the light paper, I'll say it right now, I do not agree with. Don't know what your thoughts are on that. Let me know. I'd be interested to see. But I'm always of the opinion that you shouldn't just throw out an opinionated headline. It should be based on fact always, or based on where the evidence takes you, even if you don't have an end answer to it. You know, I think that's important. Should be thought-provoking, of course. You want people to get their heads activated and all the rest of it. I get it. But let's not pretend that only these last few years, you know, it's been like this since the world as we know it has existed. It has to have been. Like I say, if anybody wants to talk about that in further depth, by the way, and this is on a serious note, well, it all has been on a serious note, but on a serious note, if anybody would like to talk about these topics in more depth, meet up and talk about it, we can do interviews about it, we can go through it, I'm willing to learn, maybe you have some information I don't know about, whatever, it doesn't matter. But, you know, if anybody wants to do that, I've already met up with a couple of people in the past where we've gone out and spent a day looking at buildings and talking through it together and coming to conclusions together and stuff like that. It's a fun process, and it's remarkable where the information takes you, right? And if you do it like that, just go where the evidence takes you, without you getting swayed by opinion, by authority, by consensus, all that sort of stuff, then you'll be surprised, like I've said for the third time now. Okie dokie. So I think I've just I put out pretty much all I wanted to do. I wanted to mention Truth Juice. I wanted to mention the title in the Light newspaper, which I like the Light newspaper. I think it's a very important publication. However, I'd like to clear things up in terms of how I perceive it. You know, I think it's important. We can't just put things out there and everyone else just goes along with it because nobody really wants to put their hand up and go, hang on a minute, I'd like to question that. Based on what? Well, based on X, Y, Z, you know, and whatever. But I mean, it's not like we have a headquarters or a central office where we can go and sit in a room and have a chat about it and then everyone buggers off to their other parts of the country for the rest of the year. We don't do it like that. We're all private citizens. And we meet up where we can, and we you know, create initiatives where we can, and all the rest of it. There's no leader. There's no, you know, committee. Used to always baffle the police when they used to phone me up asking me about demonstrations and stuff here in Bournemouth. Who am I? What am I here? Am I sort of, you know, Rudolf Hess? Am I the brainchild of a party or something here? No. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. Concerned citizens who are just trying to get messages out on all these topics that are definitely connected, because it's all about the lie itself. All right, I'm going to leave it there because I've been going not around in circles necessarily, because I won't say it, but, you know, to and fro a little bit because there was a lot I wanted to talk about. But I look forward to the next Flat Earth Social on the 31st. I look forward to some ideas as to how we can maybe add other things to that Flat Earth Social. It could be any initiatives at all. And if one person phones you up and said, let's look at some old world buildings in Portsmouth, I've got a day off, I'll come and pick you up, or whatever, let's do that. Yeah. But I'm all for getting some initiatives done, and maybe even with the possibility of getting some activism started as well. We've got lots of opportunities, you know. Let's use them while we can. Anyhow, right, I'm going to go now because we are knocking on heaven's door, I nearly said, 30 minutes. So as you can see, the conference is in full flow behind me. So I shan't disturb, in this order, the sleeping masses, Larry, and the pondering ape. We'll leave those to ponder what's being pondered. And I will leave that for now in terms of my messaging. I hope you have a nice week. I hope you all fare well. Take good care, and I will see you all soon. Some of you much, much sooner, no doubt. So until then, take it all easy. Speak to you all later, and ta-ta for now.